For Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lipson. We are now joined by Sam Shweisky, who is the head of the U.S. Boys Youth National Team. And big news came out on Tuesday as the USA Volleyball announced their 23-player initial roster, or training team roster. That's going to be whittled down to 12 before the World Championship. And Coach, you look at the roster, a lot of really good players on this team. What went into the selection process?
Well, it's a long process. It's sort of the culmination of a 2-year process. I mean, we started this thing a year ago with a scope of the guys that we thought would be good candidates, and obviously whittled it down to 12 and took those guys to Cuba, and we were able to qualify last year. And then sort of just continued on from there, sort of, tracking the progress of these guys into last year's holiday camp, and then coming into the club season this year, obviously all of the USA tryouts, and, just trying to put together all the information we had from the USA tryouts, from the holiday camp, from everyone's club season, from calling club coaches, to the input from all the coaches on the staff, and just really excited at the variety of guys that we have. We had outsides that had great ball control, guys that had big arms, guys that had big serves, physicality, finesse. It's a nice, big, robust group of guys, and we were excited we were able to get 23 guys on the list to just come battle it out, try to figure out, see who's going to rise to the top and make that final 12.
And Coach, I want to ask you, because you've obviously had experience coaching at the club level and college level and working with this team. For a player who maybe is going in their senior year of high school, how big of a year of improvement do you usually see in that player from in that year?
Yeah, so it's amazing, and that's the interesting thing with men's volleyball. I think that might be slightly different from women's volleyball in this regard, is that the guy's physique can change so much in a year. So a guy can be, 6'1", 6'2", 1 year, and 12 months later can be 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I mean, you can see, 3 to 5 to 6 inches of growth in a guy, and then just physically as they mature, they're just hitting the ball so much harder. And that's just on the physical side. You add into that a year of coaching, a year of understanding. Now they're hitting the ball, better shots, understanding the finer points of the game, and just having a more complete game. So it's pretty dramatic. And even in the 6 months from the time we started sort of really having phone conversations and conference calls, and sort of starting to develop our ideas about what the bigger group of 40 or 50 kids would look like. You go to a tournament the next week and things look different. Go to USA tryout and things look different because guys are changing. So a lot can change, and that's why another reason we always encourage the kids to say, hey, if you don't make the youth team this year, you might make it next year. I mean, just looking at my colleague Jay Hosick and his team, I know Patrick Gassman didn't make the youth team, the juniors in the year before, and then he made the team this year. And so it's exciting, and I think it keeps it fresh. I think the guys that make these teams stay humble because they know things can change in the blink of an eye, and the guys who don't stay hungry because they know they can make teams in the future.
And Coach, I want to ask you, obviously, you're still getting first couple days of getting a look at this team, but has there been one or two players that pleasantly surprised you so far?
This, by the way, just to make a note, so we have a really cool opportunity. We have 13 of the 23 guys that'll be in Lake Placid here at the High Performance Championships in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, competing. We had 5 days to train, and now we just finished our first day of competition where we won 3-0 and 3-0, won our first 2 matches. And it's just been great opportunity to compete. I'll tell you, one of the guys that's really stood out just in the early parts has been Johnny Bowles. He's been fantastic. Just a real sponge of knowledge, and he's been hitting a real heavy ball, and his shoulder got a little bit sore, and so he said, hey, why don't you just take it slow and just tip some balls and roll some balls, and he's been scoring at such a high clip, tipping and rolling. It's added such a new dimension to his game. Today he came back, shoulder felt better, and he was both hitting strong and tipping, and so, it's just been a really good opportunity for us to work with these guys in a competitive context. Lake Placid's going to be great, but we're going to be, beating up on each other, and against a chance to play so many different teams has been awesome. But right out of the gates, I'd say he's been really impressive, and then I'd say Kevin Coburn also, another guy that I had not had a chance to work with personally before. Real coachable guy, and just doing a really nice job, and we're excited about him as well.
And Coach, you want to ask kind of an interesting situation for you, a great situation. You're the head coach of Princeton. Princeton player is on the roster, incoming recruit Joe Kelly. Can you just talk a little bit about Joe and, maybe put on your Princeton hat a little bit here, but what do you think he can bring to your program?
Yeah, so it's a really cool opportunity. Obviously, just prestige for the program to have a Princeton guy on the training roster, and he's great. I'm really excited about what he can do for us. I'm trying to keep the sort of hats separate. Here for USA, and we're coaching this team and trying to make this team better. And with the guy on the roster, I went through this a couple of years ago. I was the assistant on the junior team, but Junior Obo was on that roster, and I know Dan Friend sort of set the precedent, which I thought was a good one. It's like when you're discussing the position that your guy is in, you try to stay out of the conversation and kind of let the other coaches talk about it as much as you can. I know Chris Nugent was on that team, and Jay was at Penn State at the time, kind of let Dan and I talk about it. Dan had a few Lewis guys on the team, and so Jay and I kind of, dissected that position. And, obviously the third coach is going to get involved to break a tie or that kind of thing, but we try to let the other coaches handle it because it's hard. You like your guy because he does the things that you like. And so I've been really pleased with Joe. But Kyle's doing a great job as well. And there's two other setters that are going to join us in the training camp in August. So I'm excited that he's getting a chance to compete at such a high level with so many great teammates and competitors and keep getting better. So yeah, it's good.
And Coach, you look at this roster that you assembled. Do you want to ask, what is your team's expectations in the World Championships? Do you feel that this is a team that could medal?
That's a great question. I don't know. It's interesting. In the Norseca year, the outcome goal is so clear, right? It's you got to qualify. That's the goal, is you got to qualify. And I think in the World Championships year, I really get pushed back much more into a process-oriented mentality where it's like, hey, we want to maximize our potential. I don't know. Like, I'm not, as well-versed. I don't know how good Poland, Russia, Brazil. I mean, I know these teams are good, but I'm not as well-versed in their talent level. And, we'll scout them out when we get there. But for right now, it's like, hey, can we be the best we can be and maximize the potential we have and see how far they can take us? Can we medal? I don't know. I don't know that we're at a point to make that projection. I think we got a really favorable pool, which is, just by luck. And the goal right now is to break out a pool. I think that's the first sort of outcome goal, is come in top two in your pool and get a good crossover match. And from there, hopefully you win that and try to keep going. So, I think, obviously you want to medal. You want to win the tournament. You want to win every game you play. But I think right now we're going to try to stay process-oriented and do the best we can. If we had an outcome goal, it would be first, one step at a time, let's get out of our pool if we can.
Yeah. And Coach, one final question for you. We'll let you go on this. It's been kind of an interesting journey for you guys. You just look at your travel. Cuba last year, this upcoming year, Bahrain. What is that like, for you and your players being able to experience maybe a part of the world that most Americans don't experience, albeit it's a volleyball?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I can't thank USA Volleyball enough for the amazing opportunities I've had to travel and meet different cultures and experience different parts of the world. And I think it's a great educational experience for the guys as well, to travel and to see so many things. And, and then to be ambassadors for the United States of America. I think not just USA Volleyball, but the United States as a whole. And, we tried in Cuba to set the precedent of just being, overly friendly and overly just gracious to our hosts, to janitors, to anyone that we came in contact with in the hotel or in the venue, to give away our clothes and shoes, all the great gear that we have, try to give some away and sort of make people's days a little bit brighter. And so I think that's our goal. Obviously, we have a mission and we're going to try to go and win some volleyball games and represent the United States volleyball program in that regard. But we also want to spread goodwill for the United States and treat people with respect and have a good experience in that regard. So pretty exciting. I know the guys are all excited and they're Googling information about Bahrain, and it's definitely going to be a really exciting new culture and experience for them to learn about. So, we couldn't be happier and can't wait for the experience.